Welcome, one and all, to A Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert, one more time. Well, folks, it's our last show of 2020, and hopefully it's our last 2020, if you know what I mean. And I'm not sure I do. Tonight, we're going to revisit the year that was, and boy, was it, in a special report we're calling
2020, the year that took years. What a Clusterfond look back.
2020 brought us so much. The clumsiest coup in history, the global pandemic, commercials from Domino's saying their pizzas would now go right from the oven into the box without anyone touching it, which really raised a lot of questions about how all that worked before. 2020 was so bad, the top artist on Spotify was a man screaming into a pillow. Here's a story you might have forgotten. The president was impeached. I'll recap it in my back for a limited time only segment, Don and the Giant Impeach. Uh-oh. The saga of the president's impeachment begins with, well, how could I put it?
The perfect phone call.
Yes, our president was talking with the newly elected president of Ukraine who asked for military assistance. And our commander-in-chief responded, "I would like you to do us a favor, though." Words that will go down in history as being just fine for some reason. There was one thing lacking from the president's impeachment trial, a trial, because the Senate voted 51 to 49 not to hear witnesses. It's like the old saying, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, you can't prove that the tree blackmailed Ukraine for dirt on its political opponent. I mean, that would be committing treason.
That slam got wood.
Without witnesses or evidence, on February 5th, the Senate acquitted the president of impeachment charges. And with the impeachment behind him, the president finally had time to focus on ignoring the coronavirus. For weeks, he said it was going to disappear like a miracle. Turns out it was the economy, because by March 16th, the whole country was shut down. I think we'll all remember where we were that day and every day since. In the first weeks of the lockdown, Netflix's Tiger King pounced on America's hearts like a clinically depressed jungle cat. It was a gripping documentary series about how Joe Exotic and his arch nemesis, Carol Baskin, should maybe consider switching to the Sears Portrait Studio. Now, while the president should have been using his platform to tell Americans to wear masks, he instead gave them slightly less helpful tips like this.
I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
Ah, yes. Drink bleach day. And if you had forgotten that happened, it could be because you followed his advice. In the middle of dealing with COVID, another crisis rocked America. Even more shocking examples of police killing innocent and unarmed black people, including George Floyd in Minneapolis. The cell phone video of that incident enraged America and led to marches every day and night across the country in big cities and small towns. In fact, people protested in every state and Washington, D.C. It was inspiring to see Americans in 2020 coming together and using their collective voice for a cause slightly more important than, I want a haircut. The demonstrations grew over the summer and included people from every race and ethnicity. In fact, Black Lives Matter may be the largest movement in U.S. history, and that includes the Vietnam protests, the Million Man March, and the 1980 social movement demanding the location of the beef. The protests were overwhelmingly peaceful, including one in front of the White House on June 1st. Their peacefulness, though, did not stop the president from using federal troops to assault protesters with flashbang explosions and tear gas so he could cross the street for a photo op holding the Bible awkwardly. For as Jesus said, if someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other one also. But if someone comes between you and a photo op, daddy gonna pop open a can of whoop ass. No group was more supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement than NBA players, but because of COVID, halfway through their season, they all went into the NBA bubble in Orlando. It was equal parts fierce competition and Disney sleepover. Now, this bubble had very stringent protocols. Players were advised not to spit or clear their noses wipe the ball with their jerseys, lick their hands, or touch their mouths unnecessarily while playing. And that, of course, cut down on the time-honored defensive tactic of the wet willy. But enough bad news about the global pandemic. There was also bad news about the weather. It was one of the most active hurricane seasons on record. In fact, the National Hurricane Center ran out of assigned names in the middle of September and had to resort to using Greek letters. Then they started running out of Greek letters and had to resort to hurricane wingdings. Oh, there was also an election. The Democratic primaries were a clown car of competence with 28 candidates. Hello. Hi. Nice to see y'all again. You do not want to be candidate number 29. I'm sorry you didn't make the top tier, Congressman, but you just didn't have that Hickenlooper sizzle. Ultimately, look at Bloomberg, $500 million. In a time of crisis, Democrats fell back on their safety school. Old white guy you, go status quos. Because of the pandemic, Biden spent most of the general election Zooming from his basement. It's the most successful campaign from a basement since the presidency of Ulysses S. Laundry Basket. Alternatively, the president refused to wear a mask for months and insisted on holding mass plague-spreading rallies, though they did raise a lot of campaign cash with their Ebola monkey kissing booth. The 74-year-old president tried hard to make the race against his then 77-year-old opponent all about mental fitness. So in an interview about a recent cognitive test that the president took, he unveiled this catchphrase of the year.
The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Pretty impressive that he remembers those words when he keeps forgetting he lost the election. Now, the Democratic National Convention was done entirely by Zoom, while the Republican Convention was what can only be described as the world's worst open mic, with Republican celebrities like Guy Who Wants to Sell You a Pillow, Guy Who Wants to Snort the Pillow, and Bride of Snortenstein.
The best is yet to come.
Well, she was right, but more on that later. Then came the debates. The president's strategy was to make sure there would be no debates by interrupting everything.
I'm the one that brought back football.
Hey, I was still talking. Joe, help me out here.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen,
Reminds me of the immortal words of Ronald Reagan.
Mr. Gorbachev, shut your dirty little mouth.
Then, after months of claiming the pandemic would just go away and refusing to socially distance or wear a mask, the thinkable happened. The president tested positive for coronavirus. What a plot twist! It's like the end of Sixth Sense when you realized it starred Bruce Willis the entire time. The president was put on a powerful steroid called dexamethasone. How powerful of a steroid? I'll let this doctor explain.
When we put patients on high-dose steroids like that, we monitor them very closely because there's a host of side effects, including impact on their mental health and decision-making.
The dexamethasone is known to have mental health side effects. It can cause psychosis, it can cause delirium, it can cause mania.
It's pretty scary knowing that the person with the nuclear codes might be suffering from psychosis, delirium, and mania. And then they gave him dexamethasone.
Slamageddon!
After a few days at Walter Reed, the president emerged from the hospital, landed on the White House lawn, climbed the steps, and heroically removed his mask. Reminded me of when President Roosevelt, confronted with the growing menace of fascism, rose from his wheelchair and gave his entire cabinet polio. Finally, we made it to Election Day. Early in the evening, Trump won Florida, but many of the other swing states remained too close to call. As the wee hours crawled on, things looked increasingly better for Biden, though. But then at 2:30 a.m., the president appeared before the cameras to make this odd claim.
we were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Of course, you can't just declare yourself the winner before the votes have been counted. That's why there aren't T-shirts that say, San Francisco 49ers 2020 Super Bowl champs with 2:24 left in the third quarter. Now, despite the president's best efforts, we kept counting the votes. And the Saturday after the election, at around noon, all the major networks called the race for Biden, and people poured into the streets to celebrate, from Times Square to Denver to Miami to crowds in front of the White House. Which is a surprising way to celebrate a Biden win, because he is many things, but not a young man. No, he's 78. He's not a young man, but still he looks pretty great. The president immediately refused to concede and started a slow-motion coup, aided and abetted by presidential lawyer and man who comes pre-zombied, Rudy Giuliani. On the very day the race was called for Biden, Rudy held an insane press conference in Philadelphia at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, which was between a crematorium and an adult video store. That store, of course, was the Marriott Marquis de Sade sex shop. Giuliani's conspiracy-fueled paranoid rant would go down as the most embarrassing legal press conference in history until 2 weeks later, when his head melted. But 2020 wasn't all bad news, although, to be fair, it was mostly bad news. But then, in mid-November, we learned that 2 different companies had a coronavirus vaccine that was 95% effective in clinical trials. That is huge. Do you know what that means? Hold on. If they're two companies, all right, and they're each 95% effective, that means give me one. I don't care what's in it. Just poke me with something so I can go to a bar again. I missed the little cup of nuts. Anyway, that's it. That's my last monologue of 2020. We did it. And I would sincerely like to thank everybody who made this show possible this year. The network for all their support, the staff, the crew, but mostly I'd like to thank you, my viewers, because the only way we could have made it through this year is together, as far apart as possible. I'll see you in 2021 and for the next hour, because, oh, have we got a great show for you tonight. My guest is George Clooney. But when we return, you'll see the world premiere of my new holiday cartoon. Stick around.